You see, something's going to happen.
What? What's going to happen?
Something wonderful.
What?
I understand how you feel. You see, it's all very clear to me now.
Welcome to the Occult Rejects. In this episode, you got a bunch of us here together, and it should be a fun one. As you can already see, it's going to be on The Simpsons. Real quick, I guess like we all know with The Simpsons, they seem to, always be predicting stuff. Things are always popping up. Oh, look at this. They predicted that, this and that. Before we even get into that, I would like to at least say something about that. I'm not sure if we'll really get too much into that. Well, a little bit into that in this episode, but I think it is interesting that there is a lot of things in their shows that ends up coming, seems to pop up in the future. They seem to be always like, The Simpsons did it again. It should be like, why is that even happening? We seem to look over the fact of how are these people even doing this? We just seem so enamored that they're doing it. We don't think about who the fuck's doing it and how are they doing that. I do find that interesting. So instead of being so goo gaga over The Simpsons predicting something else, you should really be wondering what the fuck's going on with that shit. That's just my little spiel. And now we'll get into the people that are on the show. We got the mad scientist herself with a new microphone. Lisa, what is up? How are you?
It's going well. I want to tell Nick, thank you so much for putting up with all of my questions, getting me set up, because I'm pretty sure I annoy the hell out of you. At least in the last 24 hours or so.
Right. It's all right. It's
but
well
thank
worth
you.
it.
Yes.
For sure. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find your stuff? Even though, not find your stuff, but contact you if they want to. And your link is in the bottom already. So.
Thank you. Yes, on Twitter, Solis Lisa, or Instagram, Lisa Solis. And also check us out on the web, occultresearchinstitute.org, for some great written content.
Yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate the plug. Mm-hmm. Yes, occultresearchinstitute.org. Teresa, the spiritual gangster, we got her on tonight. What is going on? How are you? Let everybody know where they can find your amazing show.
Thank you. I'm very excited for this topic. It should be a lot of fun. But yeah, if people want to hear more from me, I've got the Spiritual Gangsters podcast. I also am on Midnight Mysteries Radio, which I always forget to talk about.
I honestly forget too. I'm so
sorry, Nathan, my co-host. But yeah, it's a really good show. Please check it out. Honestly, it's better than mine. So check out Midnight Mysteries Radio.
I will say he does do a good show. If you're into that stuff, I actually. But, cool. I will say that he's probably better than most out there, so I would definitely suggest to check him out.
Yes, very professional. And,
for sure. No, he is.
Yeah.
That's why I think that, too.
Exactly. And, you can find me on Twitter at TS Gangsters Pod.
Yes. And we got the man himself, Thrash. What is up, Thrash? How are you?
What's up? Good. How are you?
Do you want to plug anything?
No.
No, you good? All right.
I'm good, yeah. Unless you want to hit me up on Instagram.
Go for it.
Guess, I don't know.
Yeah, Narmarsh, you.
Yeah. It's on the screen. I ain't saying it.
Narmarsh Thrash. Check him out.
There we go.
And we got the man himself, the guy who brought us that. I really, really, truly enjoyed that Space Force. That was actually fun. I had a really good time, and it was really weird and interesting. We got the man back, Michael, who brought that to us. Very happy to have you back on, man. I'm glad we are doing more work together, and I think we will be doing plenty of that in the future. We're already talking about other stuff coming up that I know myself and I know Lisa is also very much into, so it should be another interesting series, hopefully coming from Michael again. But right now, we got The Simpsons, and Mike, thank you very much, and let everybody know what's up. How did you even come into this?
So I was raised on The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons. Always related to it. Kind of a broken home myself, right? And my mom never had cables. We didn't need it, right? So what do? You watch The Simpsons, right? And you watch it a lot. And what's weird is when you go back and you start realizing, okay, there was a lot of esoteric stuff there. And, a few episodes really always stuck with me. And one in particular is the chili episode. Okay, you guys familiar with this? I know Thrash is, but so
Vaguely.
they have a chili contest, right? And it's like they're having this big chili cook-off, and everybody in the town has their little table, right? Mr. Burns is putting saltpeter in his, and he's in Yale, Yale chili. Like, everybody's got their own little conspiracy in the chili, right? The professor, he's tasting the chili mechanically. He's got a brain chip, like, you know what I mean? And then the cop laces his chili with a Guatemalan, what was it called? Something Guatemalan pepper, right? And it's this crazy looking pepper, and Homer has this trip, this crazy magical experience. His pupils are going haywire. He's going off, and then he goes off on the spirit journey into the desert, right? And this captivated my mind so hard when I was young. I always loved that episode. And as life moved on, I've had some crazy experiences. That episode always came back to me, right?
That's wild. Real quick, I just want to insert like things that I have even noticed like just recently, and a lot of shows I've even brought up, like The Secret of Nim, The Never-Ending Story. I mean, even Cloak and Dagger, if anybody even remembers that. I mean, there's tons and tons of shows that I remember that stood out to me as a kid, like deeply, that I still remember now. And then when I go back and watch these things, to me, I think there's almost blatant occultism in it. And I really wonder if, like, that's what was really captivating me, as crazy as that sounds. Like, somehow, like, is it just captivating to people in general? And that's why we remember these things. I don't know.
Yep. I think that's what it is. I mean, we'll go through. There's a depth to the Simpsons that people aren't aware of. And we know he's a Mason, right? Everybody knows that. Well, what kind of Mason is he? I mean, when you go through the first seasons, I mean, we'll go through it and I'll show you clear as day. I mean, the shrine is all over Trusty the Clown. You know what I mean? And there's inner orders of the Shriners, right? Order of Q. And then when I started looking at the Mesoamerican art, especially the art around rituals involving sacrifice or Quetzalcoatl, they're painted gold. And not only they look gold, they look exactly like Simpsons characters, like straight up. Half their characters have blue hair. And then I started seeing more Simpsons stuff in ancient art that connects to Mason mythology and Mason symbol collecting, because that's what they do, right? These orders take religious symbols and esoteric things and they collect them, and then they set up groups and orders off of them, right?
I think that happened at this place that I went to, Untermeyer Park. There was a lot of stuff that you could tell was like ripped or torn away from the place. And I actually do think it was probably occult stuff that was stolen after the fact or something was done to it. I really do. That's my opinion.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, that stuff happens. I mean, like, even again, going back to like me and Teresa covering like Italy, when they decided to just, throw people in camps and just invade countries for the fuck of it. I mean, they were taking occult shit. They were going in there.
Stole obelisks and other monuments. It's crazy.
Well, that's one of my big theories here. Okay, so the codices, right? All we have left is just a piece, man. When you hear about the amount of writings that were burned, maybe they weren't all burned, and these guys had the deepest astronomical knowledge, and they were all about ritual. And if there's something to that, if there's real magicians out there, it was here in the Americas. And straight up, if you look at these codices and you look at what they're doing, they're growing magical growths, just like when you see roses and stuff in Western esotericism. You're seeing the same stuff in their codices, right? And it's pretty wild. I think The Simpsons has a ton of esoteric stuff, and is so big that trying to go in and set this up was kind of difficult, but I found a good track for us to go on to start it off, and start pulling it apart in the symbols, right?
Awesome.
And we can kick the slides off, because this image, this first image, is the one that made me go, okay, we gotta We got to do a pod on it because I know
Oh
what
my
this
God.
is. I know what this means.
Well-
People might not know, but I had already suspected. So who is this? You can hit the next slide.
I would
this,
think
this
Marge.
was this was just recently found, by the way. So this is the mummy, the Marge mummy. Straight up yellow skin, green dress, and the big blue conical head, right?
What the heck?
Yo, that is bugged
honestly?
out.
This is
Yeah,
trippy.
And people think this is them predicting the future, which it kind of is, but there's somebody else that I think Marge is modeled off of. You know what I mean?
I do find it interesting. You have like 6 women on each side, or 6 people. That's 12. That is interesting. Just wanted to mention that
Ooh.
before we go on the next one.
Yeah. So this is one of the things. This is an image when he's on his spirit quest in the jungle, or not the jungle, the desert, right? And he climbs on top of this pyramid to get
Mayan
Marge.
pyramid.
Yeah, and it was a coyote that sent him there, right? The trickster. And he's trying to get to Marge, but she's not quite there. You know what I mean? So you can hit the next slide. She blows away. So it's like in this episode, there's a big mystery to who Marge is. They're telling you to look deeper into Marge, right? I think, anyways. I think she's like the Scarlet Woman. She is his Nefertiti, like, so you can hit the next one. I think it has
Those clouds, they look like pyramids.
and he's straight up on a Aztec Mesoamerican pyramid in that picture too.
I do find like the colors even really for her. You know, I always say that Mars and Venus do have a relationship on the tree. Again, and the reason I explain why I think that for the new listeners, when you go to make talismans, you know, with the Kabbalah or planetary talismans, but basically normally with a Kabbalistic influence, you know, the tree Netzach would be the green sphere, and you know, diagonally across from it would be Mars or Gabora. When you use the talismans for Venus, you'll use green with a flashing color of red, and when you make a talisman for Gabora or Mars, you'll use red with the flashing color of green. So I mean, even right there, they're showing that there's somewhat of a relationship between those colors and the spheres. Like she has green and red, so there is like a relationship with that. So I mean, you know, that could be just, you know, per chance, but then like, I mean, even the yellow is interesting. You start getting into Saturn, that kind of goes up like the tree more. But I do question the red and green combination, if they're, you know, for an occult sense. That's all. I said a lot just to get at that, but that's my reasoning why. I mean, it really could just be coincidental, just because of art and just knowing colors.
So this is Akhenaten and Nefertiti with their family. I mean, that's the same size family as the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Right? They got the little baby, and they got Marge and Bert, or Bert and Lisa. I don't know, potentially, right? But if you follow the Masons, if you go as far back as they claim that they have a right to, and it's right here. It's this legacy. It's that red sun, that red disc, and it's Akhenaten's line, right? And then there's all kinds of things that go with it. They think, you know, the Ark of the Covenant is significant to this family. And then, of course, the Coneheads. You can't not talk about the Coneheads. Nephilims are hot right now, right? Aliens are hot. People love it. Can't get enough of it. Cults are getting started around them.
I'm just gonna throw Nephilim in every title on the next like few shows I do, just to get like clicks on it.
But you know,
Nephilim in there.
I get it. I get the fascination. We have been lied to about subspecies of Homo sapiens. They're adding up. Okay, we have all kinds of hobbits. I mean, you look in the past, it's damn near Lord of the Rings. Okay, the Coneheads are a part of it, so it is interesting. But people get lost in the sauce with it, I think, a little bit. But I mean, here it is. I mean, the Masons all go back to the Coneheads, right? The Akhenaten, right? And
well, there's even proof of people having skulls like that.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
When I went and I was in Lima, Peru, and then when I went into Cusco, they had actual skulls on display that had the elongated head. And they believed that they were binding them, right? That was the explanation, that they would bind, that the children that were of emperors or anything like that, they would bind the skull or bind the head and then elongate it, right? And then, obviously they would have elongated heads by the time it was, done, whatever they did. But the skulls were on display, showing the elongation of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'd never seen anything like that.
And those ones there, some of them are very genetically anomalous, right? They have red hair, right? Some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have eye sockets like twice the size of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And the brain capacity is bigger. So it's not just that these people are stretching it in some of these places, right?
Oh, you know what? It's an interesting thought you just made me have now. I don't know if you would know this, Lisa. Like if animals, I would just assume probably would just work this way anyway, but I would assume like if an animal has a bigger bigger head, not so much a human, but if things out there have bigger brains, do they normally have bigger eyes to match?
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a ratio almost like that kind of?
There is. I think it also depends on what their behavior's like. If they are nighttime, their eyes are going to be bigger, pupils bigger, whatever. Their brains are bigger, their eyes are going to be bigger, technically. If they have a situation where they use their prefrontal cortex more, their eyes are going to be bigger, kind of like with birds. When they are more adaptive to song or things like that, then their prefrontal cortex will be bigger, and then their eyes would be much larger. And I think it also has to do with the sun. Because they do.
This is interesting.
With some of these birds, and we talked about this, some of these birds that are responsive to daylight and sunlight, they have much more larger eyes than they do the ratio to their brain versus like, I don't know, pigeons or something like that are more ground dwellings. Their eyes are not as big.
Like beady little eyes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So beady little eyes. Yeah.
Like little like pieces of rice for us. Black rice.
I believe so.
That's funny.
Yo, that's really interesting though, because like, even talking about like the night, the bird, or things that, I don't know. I just find that interesting. Seems very
like
occult.
Gollum gets big eyes when he goes into the cave.
Yeah, right?
The ring.
Jeez.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, you're good. But I wanted just to point out that looks like a beautiful Marge painting, right? She's got the golden skin.
For sure.
I mean, the blue hair.
Yeah, blue screen hair.
Now, this is a powerful image for a lot of these occult groups and secret societies that have reverence to the Watchers these alien cults. They all look at these guys, this family, and this is their guy. These are their guys, especially if they're Masons. And then that red dot. Whenever I trace that symbol, because that's a very important symbol in a cult, you know what I mean, for different things. As far back as you can go, apparently, right here too. So it's just, a very important image.
I was going to point out that this, and granted, this has to do more with the color that was available to them to use for on these paintings. But most of what I remember looking at Egyptian art is that you had a red skin and a yellow skin. And so to me, that indicated red, Native American, yellow, Asian. And so you had these two, ethnicities expressed in Egyptian art. And then if you go based on what you were saying, Michael, I believe there's a belief, and I subscribe to this belief, I'll just come out and say it, that most of the origins of human origin originated in the Americas, and they moved westward versus the expansion eastward. And so if you believe that, then you see red, Native American, that migrated over through the Siberian Peninsula or Bering Strait, and then formulated the Asian ethnicity. So versus the other way.
And you know what? When we look into the Mesoamerican art, they have different races there. They have,
Yes, they do.
it looks like America right now. I mean, you go eat the Olmec, there's African, Asian looking, and there's the white tribes, right? I mean, there's so much more going on in the American history that people are just now starting to be able to pull apart. But yeah, I totally vibe with that 100%.
So interestingly, I don't know if you were going to get to this, Michael. Sorry if you were, but Marge's hairstyle is based off of the Bride of Frankenstein, which I found interesting given the mummy art that you just showed. I don't know, it's kind of weird. And apparently she is based off of Matt Groening's own mother. I thought that was kind of interesting.
And before the show, I was kind of reading on the smiley face, and they chose the roundness to represent the sun, and then the yellow is supposed to represent like it said like being happy or whatever. But I thought it was interesting that the round and the sun, and then also Marge's skin being yellow.
The sun disk. I mean, Apollo worship, all that stuff, man. Like, and when we get into some of the Mesoamerican stuff for Quetzalcoatl, I think, we might be able to pull that smiley face apart a little bit better. You can hit the next one, Nick, if you want.
Sure.
So there's just Nefertiti again, and this isn't an old painting. This is something that someone did, but just again, the yellow skin, the cone head with the blue. I think there's a good case for it. So, and then there's Akhenaten, right? There's just the X. Everybody's like, "What's up with the X?" I think if you trace it far back enough, I think that might be what the X is about right there, Akhenaten, right? And there's Tefnut, you know what I mean? There's, again, with the blue hair and the gold skin, right? So. Okay, so we're getting into the Mayan codices right now. And if you look at that, I mean, when I seen these, I was like, you got to be kidding me. These are straight up Simpsons characters, right?
I was going to say, when it was like even before, like I think if you were to look at some of either their old stuff or some of their stuff before they actually finally came out, it looks very much like this type of art.
So similar. I mean, just the in cartooning, there's an amount of like detail that you're going to do, right? So are you either going to show kneecaps or are you going to show shade? Okay, so there's levels of it, and they're at the exact level of detail where they'll show the side of the nostril, right? So even just the amount of detail that these cartoons are given is the same. And a lot of the characters look so similar, and there's an abundance of these arts. And as you go through them, you're like, oh, there's Mo. There's Barney. It's pretty astounding. And what these all pretty much are showing is ritual to the gods or celebrations, and they're very detailed. They're showing you exactly the things to make, the things to do, and it's just, if you want to talk about ritual magic, man, I think nobody was better than these guys. You know what I mean? I mean, when you read the accounts of the Spanish when they met these guys, they thought they were in a dream. They could not believe the society that was around them. And when you read it, Mel Gibson didn't even do it credit, man. I mean, it sounds like a psychedelic, crazy place that we have very little understanding of, but they were very complicated. It's a trip, and it's really interesting looking into this stuff. And there's a treasure trove to be learned in any little direction you look in it.
Yeah,
I think
there's even.
Go ahead, guys.
I just wanted to say real quick. Yeah, some of the codices they got like ones on like magic mushroom recipes and rituals, and it tells you everything on like how to mix the cacao and the mushrooms, and how they're supposed to be left out in the moonlight for a certain amount of time, and everything. Like, they're super detailed. And then they got, like he said, they have codices and rituals for all kinds of things, like including magic mushroom ceremonies.
And if you look at their eyes, they're showing a magical trance, or by if there's blood in the eye or not, which plays into all the stuff, you know what I mean, of the eyes being the start, right? So when you see them in ritual, they'll often be depicted scrying. They'll be like literally, and then the positions of their bodies too. You can tell. I mean, it's the same as magical rituals in Western esotericism, half the stuff. So it's like, which came first, or does it all come from a shared place?
Oh, I definitely think the natives, especially the people that were here before the white man came over, those motherfuckers went onto it. They knew what was up. I think they actually like lived magic, really, in a sense. I really think they truly understood reality a lot more than average people do. And it's probably because of the lack. I mean, I hate to say it really is probably from the lack of just being away from society. You know, you don't have the lack of distractions for your mind to latch onto. There's less demons around for them to play with. Yeah. And
then hunting, like literally nothing's better than your magical will than going out there and getting food and making it happen for your own will.
There's no convenience, really. There's no convenience to living like that. You have to be self-supporting. Yeah.
And you can
go to the next one.
Yeah. And we'll just go through some of these. Okay, so now this is important, and if we're gonna make a case that maybe Quetzalcoatl or the Order of Quetzalcoatl, maybe Matt Groening might have something to do with it, is a lot of the golden painted people are honoring Quetzalcoatl. And if you notice, what he has on his head is he has the bird. He has the feathered serpent headdress on. And you can see he's doing something. Like, he's literally scrying. Like, his eyes are full of blood. And he's doing some sort of ritual. Like,
you know what it looks like to me? It looks like he's doing something with the stars, kind of.
Yeah.
Like he's holding like some sort of device, like recording something in the night sky or something like that. There's nothing showing the sky, but to me, I don't know. That's kind of what I see, especially with the eagle on his head.
Yeah.
Could be, or could be like a mudra, like what you do with your fingers for certain purposes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he might be pinching his nipple. Like, you never know.
Never know.
He could be doing the Star Ruby right now. No, I'm sorry. The NOx formula. He's doing the NOx formula. He's grabbing his nipple and activating his pineal gland.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks like to me that he's doing, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can hit the next one, Nick.
All right. Everybody's good on this one? All right. There we go.
Now this one, I love this one. Okay.
Yo, I swear that I think in the middle I've even seen like stuff bitten off that.
Well, so like my whole big theory, so like all these Rosicrucians and occultists in the Space Force, their little side projects are dealing with this little nerve in the brain, the basal ganglia. They're obsessed with it, right? And they say that's how they're being contacted, or contactees of UFOs have high basal ganglia growth. And it's these little serpentine things that come out of the side of your head, right? And I think that it's a really deep symbol, man, because I think when people are showing horns like Moses and all that, potentially they're depicting this. And you got two little Quetzalcoatl guys messing with it, you know what I mean? Kind of holding on to each one. And it's coming straight out of the dude's skull, like.
Yeah.
You got that you going. You got that you going again, kind of.
It does remind me of Blinky, the fish from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
Remember that thing? Blinky, the
three-eyed
fish.
Yeah.
Doesn't have 3 eyes, but I mean the color is the same. That orange.
Yeah.
I literally just looked up Blinky to compare, and the fins.
Yeah.
Also, like the Hydra symbol a little bit to me.
Yeah.
Like that octopus. I don't know.
It looks very, very familiar to me.
Right?
I don't know. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the basal ganglia, Michael, that you were talking about, that is a Mon's horn.
Oh, snap. That makes me
Is it
think about
what?
Bezos now.
A Mon's horn.
What's that?
The horn, the seahorse.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. I know what you're talking about.
And that's also the one that has the triangular cell structure, correct?
So yes, the cells that make up the Amon horn, and then above it and everything are the primordial cells that have a triangle shape.
And that's like
The neurons.
that's and the Amon's horn, in my opinion, probably wouldn't be too far away from where people are putting up the triangle, correct?
Yeah, it's a trip, man.
That's
I think when you see the Master of Beasts in Sumeria and Egypt, in any culture you can think of, there will be a depiction of a goddess or a god holding 2 animals by the neck, or like holding them to her. A lot of the time it will be like 2 coiled snakes. And to me, like, the fact that the Rosicrucians and like these top occultists are like really focused on it, and then you see that image all over, and then you see Alexander the God King, and he's wearing this little hat with literally the horn on it is literally the basal ganglia, like just straight on the outside of his head, and it's the God King. It's like, and then you go into Blavatsky, all of this stuff, it's like the secret chiefs, right? It's big in esotericism, man, I'm telling you. And I think that's what they might be showing here.
The top of the skull always reminds me of what Teresa brought up in the eye series. The soft spot on the baby's head. How like
Yes.
you can go in, it's like you said it best. Whenever they're born, it's super soft, and then it doesn't harden until later.
Yeah. And it's all like a cross shape. Well, it's like the 4 plates that then come together. Right.
The animal in the middle center part reminds me of an animal. To me, it looks like a spider because of the bottom part of the abdomen. I mean, granted, it's not a spider, but it reminds me of some sort of insect or spider.
You can see it's depicted a few other times. We could figure what that is, because I've seen it painted before.
I wonder if what they're implying, because they put the skull at the bottom and then they put the circular part. I wonder if they meant like, was the soft spot like like Alien, when it like covered the face in the movie Alien?
Yeah.
Thing sits on top of your head and radiates out. I don't know.
I thought that was Bane. I think it's Bane's mask.
Well, and I think they practiced putting the holes in the heads in that culture, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Incas did that too. They said that was something that the Spanish, when they walked in on the Incas, that they were performing brain surgery, open brain surgery, because they had the access to Novocaine, which is cocaine. Yeah.
And apparently it helps you stay in that theta brain state where it's more like a dream, where it's more balanced, which they say magical thinking comes from when you balance the hemispheres, right? Children, until they're 8 years old, think that way. And so maybe that's what they're trying to do, that they're trying to get that childlike, I mean, because the world's at their fingertips if they can get back to that, right?
I wonder if it's sort of like a parasitic thing, like as you guys just touched on that with like the alien reference. Like the Matrix, when he's got that thing inside him, it almost looks like they're pulling it out of the dead skull.
Yeah.
Like, are they pulling it? Like, or you know what I'm saying?
That's a good one.
Yeah. See, what I was even thinking too, I have mentioned this before. Oh God, my cat. H.R. Geiger. He did the alien stuff. He designed the alien. And the guy was pretty much an open occultist. And I do think you can look at corpus callosum and almost kind of like see that alien, the baby one. Now, I have often thought that it was quite possible that the face hugger might have even have been in like the brain in a sense too. And I mean, I'll be totally honest with you, knowing how that thing works and that it shoves a tube down your throat. I mean, that thing that they have right there with that shit coming out of its mouth, I mean, it really isn't too far off from an alien face hugger as well.
Right.
Which is another part of your brain. Like, I do think like those aliens actually are different parts of the brains in different stages. That's what I think God did.
Well, you could shatter a mind and it will break into other things, right? The dark passenger, all of that stuff, right? People sometimes want to embody something, the exorcism, all of that stuff. Like, I think there's stuff to that. I mean, I have seen things take hold of people in my life. Like, there's no way this is not supernatural. You know what I mean? Like, wickedness. And so who knows? But I mean, I would say this one right here is Quetzalcoatl too. This is another one involved with it. And they have the blood in the eyes, right? It's a woman giving birth, but she's being plumed out of the plumed serpent, right? Her forehead's connected to her elbow. Snake is coming out above her breast, out of her armpit. And then there's a little baby coming out of her who's doing the scrying thing, which shows like divination, you know what I mean? And so it's just, and they're very Simpson looking. I mean, very Simpson looking.
I even find that upside down triangle interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it could almost look like a tent if it was flipped the other way up. All right.
And here's just more of them. And very Simpsons characters, you know, that's why I added it. I don't have a ton of knowledge on what's going on in this one, but if you look around, they have ingredients. You know what I mean? They're all doing stuff, and it's all laid out for you. Like, it's just so interesting to me.
You know, it's similar. If you look at, I think the Egyptian Book of the Dead, they also have within their, like they have, you know, a scene, right? Whatever they're trying to depict. But within that scene, they almost have these colors, kind of like this, with these dots, with these colors. Almost like when you have, I don't know, like you buy stuff and then if you turn it over to where the barcode is, it'll have colors on there, like the colors that they used for that, I don't know, display or marketing, whatever on the box. But it almost seems very similar here, these dots that have colors. I believe the Book of the Dead, they have depictions of colors within that they used within the actual scene. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was there also.
I love that you say that. I feel the same way, and absolutely, like, I don't know if you can see some of that.
Yes.
But
it is reminiscent of that, yeah.
They sit in chairs, and it's damn near the same story. The path of souls, like this goes deep. The path of souls, where you go when you die into the Milky Way, is the same in Mesoamerica as it is in Egypt, and it's all the Egyptian Book of the Dead right here. Like, it is startlingly similar. Their poses, what they're doing, even the writing and the hieroglyphs are very similar. So,
I mean, there's a lot of, like, even Sumerian and Babylonian stuff. You're always getting these dudes sitting in these chairs, which I do actually think that chair is very important. I think once you start getting to people sitting in things, you are now getting more into, I think, the brain. You've gone kind of past the eyes, you know, or you've already conquered those to an extent, and now you're moving beyond. That's just my opinion. I mean, even in tarot, you will see people go from chariot to a chair. I mean, there's an upgrade, you know. Something's going on.
The chair's deep. I mean, Stanley Kubrick messing around with the chairs, like.
I mean, I even think honestly a lot with the chairs too is look at the designs that are under them that look like, you know, that's like how the chair was built. No, those are shapes, and there's something going on there, you know.
Well,
sure, that's what I think.
And the mat of reeds. The mat of reeds is something that the Egyptians sat on. And what Toltec means mat of reeds. Like, and the Toltec, this is something like, there's no understanding on who the Toltecs are, who the Aztecs were, and then right here where we're at. And this is, I give Thrash all the credit on this for the Ute. They speak, it's a form of Aztec. And like this area, they've been obliterated and kicked out. And like, we're missing 3 tribes that are connected to each other, right? Because some say that the Toltec went up to the place of the Red Rocks and then they came back, right? And where they went was called Aztalan, right? I mean, and then when you start looking at when Cortez came, he came to a ringed city. I mean, is that Atlantis? It's a freaking ringed city with all these pyramids. I mean, you really kind of have to start re-looking at this stuff because the history is bullshit.
Mike, when we were covering the Virgen de Guadalupe, we stumbled into a couple of themes where the Aztecs was a name that was given by the Spanish because of the town that they, or not the town, but the area that they found them on. But the actual name that they referred themselves to was Mexica. And Mexico is basically that, Mexico or Mexica. And it in Nahuatl, it means belly button. It means a center of the earth.
Nice.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, the Nahuatl, and then how they spoke, of the Aztec. And the Toltecs came from the Olmecs. And then, at least that's what I guess that's what I understood. The Olmecs was first, and then they kind of gave rise to the Toltecs, and the Toltecs gave rise to Aztec Mexica. And then obviously Mayan, was also another tribe at the same time.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. Yeah, and the Olmec are, all they find is stuff buried so deep, right? I mean, I guess they have one pyramid now, but it's like precision jade objects that some of them are perfect. Like literally like the Egyptian ones, there's a couple of them that are super old that are like that. And then of course the massive heads that were just buried underground. Who knows how ancient that is, right?
Right.
You know what's odd too? Sorry, just to go back to that picture real quick. The colors really remind me of the same colors used in like the Italian playing cards and stuff, which I've covered before.
Oh shit!
I don't know,
yeah.
right? Like they're literally the same. And then I was just looking it up for reference to test my hypothesis. And then like even some of the figures that have faces in Italian playing cards are yellow.
Yeah, for sure.
The skin. I did not realize that prior. That is very interesting. And I don't know if early tarot is the same, because I think some of the playing cards are based off of tarot cards anyways. So I wonder if is it the same colors kind of used?
Yeah, the Rider-Waite deck, that's the deck I like. Like totally that motif. Like all those colors, like the yellows, the reds, the blues.
I'm glad you brought that up about the colors. Those are the same colors in the retina that pick up yellow, green.
Oh, the cones,
yellow,
right?
Oh,
green,
that's right.
blue.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's right. The rods and cones. Oh shit. Damn.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Shrine Circus, I mean, and Order of Quetzalcoatl, of course, use those motifs too. So now
I wanted to point out real quick that like Chaco Canyon here, they even found like parrot bones and parrots establishing a trade connection with Mexico and here. So I'm sure that was going on for a long time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the obsidian makes its way from wherever the obsidian was, it's in all the Americas, and parrot feathers too. Like,
well, and then even
significant trade.
Like John Dee's scrying mirror was supposed to be like from Mesoamerica, I think, right?
Yeah. It was I forget the name, Tipoca or something like that, but it was from Mexico.
Yep.
Yucatan, I think. I'm not.
Yep, came from the Aztecs. Yep.
For the
And
listeners, real quick, we're just if when it comes to scrying, they do suggest to use an obsidian, polished obsidian, whatever kind of like either a sphere or like a plate. So that's why we're going on about the obsidian in case people don't know.
Or your iPhone.
Yeah.
And that just proves right there, John D is the granddaddy of that movement of Western esotericism right there, right? I mean, so that just shows you right there. It all got kicked off with that little scrying mirror, potentially. I mean, you never know. So
that's interesting. I wonder if it would actually. I don't know. I was trying to wonder, like, there's times when, like, me and Lisa and like Teresa have all talked about this, but there's like such older. There's like books from the 1600s that you can look at that, like, these people are drawing the eyeball like more really like detailed than like some of the stuff we have out now. But like I was just wondering, like, it's like how do they even do that? Like, like even if like, I mean, just be honest. I guess you just take a dead person, cut out their eyeball, and try to look into it, the different crystals and glass. I mean, I really don't like how else could you have done that back then? But then, like, I'm wondering, but I don't think, like, this even just seems probably even harder to pull off. I was wondering if there was any way of actually trying to, like, look at your eye, like, in a reflection and draw what you're seeing. I don't know, but I
think they were masters, man. I think they did everything in style. And because they had to actually do every little piece of it, they learned, you know what I mean? And, like, I don't know, man. I get tripped out when I look at stuff from the past too, because you're like, what are we missing here? Like, what are we missing? We're missing something.
Oh, yes, for sure. So I concur.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're into the Aztec stuff. We were looking at Mayan codices. The Aztecs are a little different, but the codices are a little more kind of not as artsy, some of them. And a lot of them were done by priests that were working with them, right? Okay. So this is Mexico. This is the land of the Aztecs, right? So this is another thing with the X. This is where they came down into Mexico, and very Simpsons characters. So the Aztecs are showing the gold, little Simpsons guys too. And if you notice, there's at least two races, it looks like there. And this is the group of the Aztecs, right? So this is after they left Aztlan, the place in the north, and they went to set up, and they ruled Mexico. They took it over, apparently, and a lot of misconceptions, I believe, are placed on the Aztecs. They were very brutal. They did do sacrifice. I mean, I've looked at the manuscripts. It's very detailed. But it doesn't mean a culture needed to be obliterated off the map and nothing understood about them. And that's what's pretty much happened. But I think that culture right there is holding the secrets of what was really going on because they were in charge. So, yeah.
I will say one thing. I heard somebody speak on this, and I thought I'd mention this, that when you see the Mexican flag, it is the killing the serpent. And a lot of people, I believe, I had heard that it was the place where it was built, that they would find the eagle killing the serpent as to where Mexico City was going to be built. And I've heard some people who adhere to their native roots, they said that the eagle killing the serpent was Europe's domination or Christianity domination over the serpent cult or the serpent belief, which was Quetzalcoatl. So I don't know how true that is, but I thought I'd insert that because I thought that was a very interesting take of that. I don't know how the validity of that, but I thought that was interesting.
Well, the eagle being like synonymous with Rome and stuff, right? Like imperialism.
Thank you for saying that.
Holy Roman Empire. Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So now,
I wanted to point out real quick. I'm sorry that last picture kind of looks like a Masonic apron.
I swear.
Right?
When he sent this to me in the email, it wasn't showing the whole image. and it was showing like basically almost half of
The
it.
top.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, he found like a Masonic apron.
Nice.
And then when I put it on there, I was like, oh man. I was like, but it looks like one.
Precursor to Gmail right there.
Yeah.
The envelope.
You know. Well, yeah, even if you turn it the other way, it looks like it too.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
And they normally have different symbols associated with your
Yeah, that is true.
Your level.
Yeah.
Eagle.
So, JD Vance will love this one. This is the mountains. We're getting into the mountains now, guys.
JD Vance.
Did I call him JD Vance? Oh my God. JJ Vance, I'm sorry.
I love it. That's awesome.
That's gonna be
sure
funny
it'll
on
be-
this show. We'll have to really make
be
sure,
getting
like,
that a
who
lot.
are we talking about? Yeah.
Sorry, bud. Didn't mean to do you like that.
That's
But
So this is a Simpsons face, like for sure.
this is so Homer. I mean,
It's like
So
Homer with
this-
Krusty's hair.
yeah.
100%.
This
Yeah,
is
and
Miss.
Krusty the Clown. Oh no, Sideshow Bob. His
Oh
hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
On
Oh,
meth.
jeez.
On meth.
And doesn't he wear like a messed up necklace too, Sideshow Bob?
I don't know actually. I don't remember.
Oh, I'm gonna look him up right now.
He's got the bone in the hair. No, there's a couple. Yeah. We'll get into Sideshow Bob for sure. Now, what's interesting about this is it looks just like Homer. It has that weird thing on the face, right, with the 5 o'clock shadow type thing. But this is the Birdman. This is the plumed serpent. So this is Quetzalcoatl to the Mississippians, or that's what they attribute this deity as being, right? So again, Quetzalcoatl, the Mississippi one, looks just like Homer, straight up. You can't tell me he doesn't. And I have a few of them.
Yeah, you do.
Look at his necklace. It looks like the Masonic square and compass, basically.
And he's sticking his hand through a portal, right? And it looks like he might be scrying through it. Maybe he's up to something. This guy.
It does.
He's got a chastity belt.
Yeah, that is interesting. Chastity belt.
So he actually looks like Sideshow Mel. I just found it. I'm gonna send it. Yes, like literally. It's so funny.
Yeah, and this one does too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that almost looks like Mr. Burns with the thing, right? And
Oh boy, a little bit. Yeah.
and the head he's holding has got the Homer Simpson 5 o'clock shadow. So it's just another depiction of the Birdman, which shows you that, you know, it's not just the one and done. This is a portrayed thing that they do. So
It wasn't a one and done.
yeah,
Oh, jeez.
there's another one. So I just wanted to drive it home that the plumed serpent should be attributed to the mountains, or can be attributed to the mountains. So if we think that there's people doing stuff to this deity around there, well, there's a potential, right? So he's got the feathered, you know,
Very
there's the
weird.
Birdman.
Those
Yes,
eyes
the
are like
clock
weird. The way
feet.
it's
Talon
Yeah.
feet.
stuff like this. I try to wonder, like, is there something in there to see that's like
Oh,
using,
yeah.
using both
Yeah, yeah.
sides. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah, you could maybe see the stars line up through it or something.
yeah, or like there's something in there, like a face behind that or something. Because the eyes do almost like still look like you could be looking at the front of a face instead of two people
Oh, yeah,
side
yeah.
by side. You know what I'm getting at? It's very weird. Oops.
And so that was just another. No, you get. Yeah, you can see. This is just one more depiction of the Birdman. Just to drive it home and show that this was a deity for a lot of the Americas. It's not just a Mexican thing. Okay, this was a deity for the Americas. Now I think the similarities between like Nimrod. Now, if we think why these Masons might be messing around with this symbol, or what they might be trying to take out of it, is I think the legends are that Quetzalcoatl was white,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
He was bearded.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds a lot like Nimrod, and a lot of the things that he did. So you wear the skins of sacrifice for him, right? Just like Nimrod wearing the skins of Adam. When you look at the Olmec cultures, a lot of the jaguar deity are wearing the jaguar skins too. So I'm thinking Nimrod pops up everywhere, right? It's one of these things. It's like, it's almost like Quetzalcoatl can either be a Christ figure or he can literally be like Satan. And people have sacrificed to him, and he's probably saved people's lives, and people have based their morality in good ways off of him. But it's something just like Christianity that through time has been perverted, right? Now, magically, if you want to adopt this symbol, if you know how much has been done for it or to it. And so if you want to connect to that power, right, or maybe try to reenact it, because it's pretty odd, a lot of this, the Rothschilds being down in Mexico, okay, we got all these Masons down there, we got the Mormons, something's up. So
I was going to say, the necklace on that previous thing, it's 6 beads, and then there was like a plate in front of their like genitalia that had 6 dots. That one had 6 beads, and then the one before, there's like a little, see the other one before that, there's like plates in front of like their genitalia, and they both have 6 dots on them, and then the necklaces also have 3 and 3 on each side. But yes, the Quetzalcoatl was, for all intents purposes, what they believe was white. And the reason for that, they said that he had facial hair. Whereas if you look at Native American, they do not have facial hair. They don't even have hair on their bodies. Whereas like people of European descent do have more hair on their person than Native Americans would. And the legend was that Quetzalcoatl was going to return to the Americas. So when they saw the Spanish come, and the Spanish had facial hair and they had hair on their bodies, they thought Quetzalcoatl had come back. So that's why most of them kind of were like, oh, he's back, and didn't fight initially, because that was coming back, and he looked like them.
And Viracocha, so the Peruvian, same thing. And Viracocha, I don't think Viracocha, I haven't seen people, the sacrifice stuff, it seems like Viracocha was much more a Christ figure, you know? And so, but again, the Peruvians thought that he had come back. Now, what is there with that? Now, I think a lot of this, the shining ones, right? The Sumerians, these people that come, the same story happening over. Some people think it's Enki, right? Whoever shows up on a boat after the flood, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking like the new Illuminati symbols we're seeing everywhere, the smiley face, all that stuff. I mean, I'm seeing some DJs releasing Quetzalcoatl songs that are like the sketchiest DJs I know. Like, what are they venerating? Because we know the Nazis thought that they came from these mysterious race of Aryans that survived the flood, right? The shining ones, the followers of Horus that bloomed out of a lily flower, they were gold. The shining ones. That yellow skin. So now that's what I'm thinking. It's like a new Illuminati symbol. It's kind of like an alien, the shining ones, right? I think that's maybe what Eminem was all about with all those blonde dudes. We got the minions, and it's like, are we coming up on a new symbol? Because Miley Cyrus has a smiley face tattoo. Kesha, Margot Robbie has one. All these artists have it. Everybody in the electronic scene is using it, and all these people I just mentioned have it with the X's in the eyes. They're not just regular smiley faces. So
you bring up something really interesting. When I was looking again back to the Virgen de Guadalupe, when they were doing their sacrifices, they genuinely believed that there was a war happening between the sun and the moon. and that when you were and the sun required blood sacrifices, and when you gave a blood sacrifice, you only sacrificed the good men, the men that were strong, that could fight, because they believed that there was a war happening. Sorry, somebody decided to rev their engine. They believed there was a war fighting between the sun and the moon, and the sun had to win in order for your crops to grow. So the blood sacrifice was for warriors being sacrificed so that they could ascend into the heavens and fight the war, so that the sun could win for the day and then give light, and then your crops would grow. So they were only sacrificing, the warrior type figures. When you said smiley face, and it reminded me of the smiley face killer things that we've done, and it's always the elite people or the elite men that are being killed. Like, they're intelligent, they have a certain body fat percentage, they are sought out because of the things that they have accomplished. Sorry,
you're good.
God.
No, because when I started to do the Simpsons thing, it was so crazy because, I hit Thrash up right away. I had an epiphany. I'm like, dude, there's, 52 playing cards. There's 76 tarot cards. How many Simpsons episodes are there? I'm like, it's like a little screen. I'm like, so let's look in there. And immediately it was spooky. Like, whatever you want a lens for when you look into the show, conspiracy, whatever, you'll find stuff popping up, and it'll pop up quick. So the lens I wanted to look through I wanted to secret societies, right? I wanted to find out, do I have anything with this Nefertiti and the Mayan stuff? And then I wanted to use it to try to find things I'm interested in, right? And this whole thing with we're doing Space Force, that little blonde kid with the hammer. It's like everything started to converge on this. I mean, even the face peelers. So as we go through the slides, like, I think there may be a case to show that if you were in the Order of Quetzalcoatl, you have to give your son's blood. There's an episode for that I found. So, and you get an Olmec head for doing it. Like, yeah. So you can keep going, Nick. We'll get into that. I think that's the first slide anyway. So, or no.
Real quick.
Yes.
I had a thought while we were talking, or you guys were talking about. I kind of thought Springfield, and like in the springtime, that's when the sun is coming back, and then also harvest time, fields and all that. I thought there might be a connection with that. And then also there's like a weird connection where there's spring fields all over the country also. Like every state has like a spring field or whatever.
If you go back...
Didn't the actual eclipse pass through like the most spring fields? Wasn't that something?
Oh, maybe.
Probably.
I'm not sure.
Probably. That is weird. I was thinking for some reason I was thinking about Ptah. I forgot why. But he is kind of yellow with a blue hat. Oh, because he is God of Springs. And the reason I was thinking about him is because Elon Musk just decided to tweet Hawk Ptah and throw up a picture of the Egyptian god Ptah. But no, he does this.
Put up a thing on Saturn too.
He does stuff like that. He wears Aries on his chest, but no, this guy is not into that stuff. I mean, come on. How long do you have to keep lying to yourself? This guy's into that shit. He's advertising it now. And Hawk Ptah, instead of Hawk Tua, that equaled 93. Now he changed it to something that equals 88. I mean, come on.
Come on.
And I keep saying he's a Nazi. He's into that shit.
Hey, well, if he's working on rockets, man,
Well,
that industry is full of it. I
That's
mean,
my
like,
opinion.
it's nuts.
There's a theory that he's Werner von Braun's son.
That's new. Remember Rosemary's Baby? We said Elon is Rosemary's Baby. That whole thing. That was the best.
You gotta like link him to the Bushes somehow, so you could almost say like maybe Aleister Crowley like had sex with Barbara Bush, and somehow that made Elon Musk.
Well, didn't they sacrifice one of his kids? Like I heard you guys doing an episode on that. Like all these families got to have a kid go.
One of his first children, died, I think, of sudden infant death syndrome, apparently, and then his wife, who had that baby, goes to Burning Man every year to like honor the child. Yeah.
And Burning Man is 100% cremation of care type ritual. You don't want to go there, guys. Like, what are you going there to be a part of?
Yeah.
Yo, you know what I was thinking about today? Before when we were like recorded earlier, me and Lisa were talking about Alex Jones in this Bohemian Grove video. You know, it did dawn on me. I was like, you know, it would be really easy to get that footage if you were on the guest list.
Well, and so let me just the deliberate unveiling of hidden knowledge of agendas, the revelation of the method. So there's a lot of talks about that. Could we be seeing some of that in here, and why would they do that? Well, it is an occult concept of some of these elite groups to do revelation of the method, and I just wrote down the definition. It's a concept in esoteric circles that suggests deliberate unveiling of hidden knowledge of an agenda, often through symbolic means. It posits that the power subtly reveal their intentions, conditioning the public to accept predetermined outcomes. Sorry, I kind of flubbed that one up, but so it is a occult concept, and it is like one of those Illuminati concepts. They believe that, so it is a real thing. It's not just made up. So
no, I definitely think you can precondition the mind.
Yeah.
To accept. I mean, we accepted a whole lot in the last 6 years. I mean, how did that happen? We had to be preconditioned to that. I hate to say it. I mean, I'm including myself.
Yeah. Yeah, they give you somebody so bad. They give you the worst, vilest piece of shit in the planet who's dying and about to get us into World War III so that you run into the arms of anything better. You know what I mean? Like, and then they just keep adding and adding to that to make sure that outcome happens. Like, that's what I think it is. But so this picture right here is another one of these shows and episodes that is always stuck with me and always got back to me. It's the Edgar Allan Poe Treehouse of Horrors.
I love this one.
Yeah. Super esoteric, super creepy, full of symbols, like, and full of that X symbol. The Simpsons love to display the X. The first official episode that was like a full episode was Xmas, like Simpsons roasting on an open fire. They didn't say Christ the whole time, and it's all Xmas, XXX. And I love The Simpsons, but there is a lot of like processed church type satanic weird stuff in it, man. Like, and so that's just the image right there. You can keep going on that one. So Homer joins a secret society, the Stonecutters. So,
oh, come on.
Did you guys know that Homer joined the Stonecutters?
No.
No.
And the symbol is like very processed church, like the hammer type, you know what I mean? Like similar. And so you can hit the next slide. All right, so after Homer notices his coworkers Lenny and Carl enjoy special privileges at the Springfield nuclear power plant, such as better chairs, better parking, he learns they are a part of an ancient secret society known as the Stonecutters. To join, one must either be the son of a stonecutter or save a life of a stonecutter. While extolling the secret society at the dinner table, Homer discovers that his father is a member, and he is admitted.
Oh, wow.
After his initiation, Homer takes great pleasure in the society's secret privileges, such as better service, better chairs, and a secret road that helps them avoid traffic. That one's really interesting.
What?
He still does not receive better parking, but is given roller skates to get to work faster.
Yo, what the?
Yeah. So that's kind of, I won't read the whole thing, but pretty much he gets in trouble. He accidentally burns something. And so they're like, you're kicked out. They take off his robes, but they see that he has a special mark. And he realizes that he is the chosen one. Now, as I was going into the shining ones, right, and all this stuff, and I'm looking at different things, the fairy tales of the golden children, which are very esoteric, very like magic. Snow White is a golden child, right? She has special abilities. And all of them, they have a mark. Like they'll have like a little star or something, just like Harry Potter with the lightning bolt. So
I was just going to say Harry Potter.
So yeah, that's what, you can hit the next one.
You know what that storyline kind of reminds me of too? Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of this series, but it was one of American Horror Stories where it was kind of like these occultists, almost like against the witches. And there's very much like a story like that where I think like one of the dudes ends up like going and joining like the Church of Satan or something, and then like they end up finding some mark on him, and like now like they're putting him up on like, a pedestal. So it's almost like the same, if I remember correctly. It's very much the same story.
It's a trip, man. Like, I don't know how far it traces back, but the fairy tales is the first I've heard about that. But so now this is, as soon as he's initiated, he says, let's get drunk and play some ping pong. Now, ping pong, for people who know, like, this is a very sketchy thing for a group of dudes to be doing in a secret society, right? Has a lot of implications. And like the way that they go into it is like, okay, this is an odd little sneak in that he put in. Yeah, you can hit the next one. And look, even their symbols has a little ping pong.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
the
there that
Masonic,
place, Comet Ping Pong?
Yeah.
yeah, Comet Ping Pong. Not just that. Ping pong places are underage sex trafficking places in Indonesia and all these Asian countries. So,
Mike, you on
it doesn't
Twitter or
have to
no?
be Pizzagate. What's that?
Are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the pictures I posted from Inside Comic Ping Pong?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
crazy.
actually went in there and grabbed some pictures.
And you know what I think about Comet Ping Pong after I've seen all those pictures? It's Saturnian. Okay, they're obsessed with astrology, the comet, just everything in there with space. Like, that's what's really kind of crazy about those guys is like everything is to the stars and to space. Like, and there was a lot of Saturn shit that I saw in those pictures.
I will have
It
to
says
say,
it says comet on there. Look at that. If you look at it right.
well, yeah, COMAEET, yeah.
ET.
Holy shit.
No, I think it's supposed to be Latin,
Yeah, with the box.
and so it would mean and, but it could be ET. Never know.
Yeah,
It also looks like Saturn, Nitor,
Yeah.
all the way to like a Saturn.
Oh yeah.
And what should terrify everybody about anybody messing around with that Saturn shit is like Kronos eats his children. Okay, Baal is Saturn. Okay, Baal, Moloch, that's all that Saturnian, that the void eats its children, the rings of time, like, and it's nasty stuff. Like, why would you believe that? Why would you go anywhere near that stuff? But when you see all these celebrities with dead kids, it's like, it sounds like Kronos, like Saturn worship to me. Like,
I think it's wild how they even also have, like, not to like really cut you off, but like I think it's crazy how like they do just have the Masonic symbol right there. I mean, like,
yep.
Yeah. And the pyramid and the sun.
And the gold and purple, that's like what, the Royal Archmasons, or that's the Orange Order, the purple, Royal Purple Arch, with all those weird black lodges and nobody knows about, like.
Jeez.
No, you're good. You can.
Okay.
Yeah, so Krusty the Clown's a member. The news anchor's a member. And they paddle his butt after he gets initiated. Okay. Now a mobster, the town mob guy, he's a member. The cops are members. Who else? I think it just showed you, like, hey, the mob's here. Krusty's definitely here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just very interesting in this episode who the actual the members were. It was all like the cops and the criminals together.
You know, one thing it just reminded me of was I can't remember the name, like something Blood Flowers from the Moon or something like that. It was Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. I've mentioned it a few times. They end up showing, like, a Masonic lodge. Robert De Niro is a Mason, and he does bring him down there to, like, reprimand him and, like, paddle him with one of those things too.
Yeah, he literally bends him over and spanks him.
Oh, you saw that? You saw that movie, Thresh?
Yeah.
Yo, isn't that
It's basically the last movie I watched.
Isn't it kind of weird? I thought how, like, all right, so, like, Leonardo kind of seemed to be with Robert De Niro. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean he was a Mason, even though he brought him to that lodge, whatever. But, like, obviously De Niro was. Wasn't it kind of, like, weird how, like, when they were crossing the street and the KKK was walking down the block, it's like they, like, knew who they were.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I do think they're all, like, kind of, you know, cousins in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Those orders. So I just, even thought right there might have shown, like, somehow, like, a Masonry KKK connection because of just being so familiar with
100% through the Black Shriners. Yeah, through the Black Shriners too, like the Veiled Prophets, which is an official magical order of the Masons. They are the Black Shriners. They wear those big white conical heads, and they, like, I found this article linking how racist they were, and then linking them to the KKK. So
I've been wanting to cover them for like 3 years now. Maybe one day I'll get to it.
Yeah, hey, I could hop on there with you. I got fucking.
I would love to cover the
KKK.
Shit, yeah. I actually got somebody who's pretty cool. Not to put him on the spot, so I won't say that name. But I was interested in, like, starting to cover gangs because I really do think a lot of gangs have occult origins. You know, street gangs. And there's
I got you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was somebody that I guess was around a lot of, like, that stuff and was able to give me, like, information on, like, a few different types of gangs where it's, like, definite. Not definite, but I mean, there's proof there probably that there's occultism, like, in the works. I mean, honestly, not to, just my opinion, and not that it's really from my experience, but it's in a sense, yes. I mean, I guess even with the OTO, I would even consider that not a gang, but sometimes when there's a lot of people captivated by some kind of silly stuff. In my opinion, I mean, unless there's, like, a good salesman, odds are there is probably an occultist. If they're captivating, I mean, that many people. And I would consider, as silly as it sounds, I'm sure gangs actually do start amounting to a decent amount of people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could possibly have more gang members in a town than there is actually Mason members. If there's even a lodge. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
There's a power structure. You answer. There's initiations. There's apprenticeship.
There's a huge
positions, right? Like, it's so cool. Yeah, for sure. And then you see the Masonic numbers and symbols through all the gangs, and you're like, man.
Yeah, I definitely think Gangster Disciples and the Latin Kings are two that I would like to cover at some point. I definitely think those are deeply rooted in occultism. All right, I'll shut up. So now we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay, so there's just, if you don't know that Krusty is a Shriner, he's got a little monkey with a red fez, and he's picking up a prostitute. Like, Krusty is always he's the biggest piece of crap, but Bart loves him so much, and Bart will do anything to get him out of trouble, and Bart gets him out of prison a couple times. And Krusty is the biggest piece of crap. You don't ever deserve it, right? And especially the early seasons, man. So how I wanted to dive into this was I just was like, okay, there's so much going on. I'm just going to follow the clowns. And literally everything just fell into place because...
Yo, that's the Scarlet Woman right there.
Yep.
And like, even that monkey, I mean, like... the Shriners, and I don't know so much about Quetzalcoatl, but like they do use that monkey. I don't know. Actually, the Order of Quetzalcoatl. Sorry, one of the orders of Quetzalcoatl lodges that was in Canada, they did use the monkeys on their pin. I remember that.
And it's coming right out of his wee, the straw. You know what I mean? The perverted stuff. Yeah, totally Shriner. And what's really uncomfortable, what was uncomfortable for me, man, there's a ton of pedo stuff in those early seasons and like super sketchy stuff, man. Like, and it's like The Simpsons, oh man, but it's like, of course, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when it first came out, like I wasn't allowed to watch it. I think I was like 6 or so, and my mom was like, "You can't watch that show," and then I would sneak it anyway. And I do remember it being like raunchier in the first couple seasons, and then it sort of like shifted a little bit.
The art even changed.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you stick with the first 6 seasons, the episodes, there's literally, what kind of conspiracy do you like? Like, he goes to military school. He's in Gifted and Talented. He goes to clown school. There's the Boy Scouts. Every episode is like super sketchy conspiracies that, like, in those first 6 seasons, like, it's a trip. So here's Krusty holding the Star of David. Now, this episode really tripped me out, and it really kind of maybe gives us a little look into what the Shriners were and how they got this jester stuff, right? So Krusty comes from a Jewish background, you find out, right? His dad is a rabbi, and his dad has disowned him because he's a clown. Now, because Bart loves Krusty so much, he's going to the rabbi to try to say, hey, Krusty's a good guy, right? And the craziest thing is the Talmud is where the jesters may have, like, the earliest description of the jesters comes out of the Talmud. And Bart goes to the rabbi and says, is it not saying in the Talmud that who will bring redemption? The jesters. And I was like, whoa.
He says that in that episode?
Yep. While the rabbi's giving a circumcision, he does that.
What the heck? Come on.
Yo.
And so I'll just read this from the Talmud because this would blow your mind, okay? Okay, the two of them occurred in the marketplace of Bai Lafet, a place frequented by Rabbi Barako Hazoza, who often met another Jewish name there. On one occasion, Rabbi asked Elihu whether anyone who was in the market at the time was Ben Alam Haba, someone who assured the place in the world to come. Elihu pointed out a person who was not dressed in a Jewish manner. He was not wearing tis and was wearing black shoes, which was not a Jewish custom. Upon questioning him, Rabbi discovered that he worked for a non-Jewish government as a jailkeeper, where he carefully kept men and women separated and protected Jewish women who were put into prison. Furthermore, he kept his Jewish identity secret so he could influence the government on issues having to do with the Jewish community and warn the Jews of impending decrees that would affect them. The rabbi then pointed out the two men who were assured in the place in the world to come. Rabbi approached them and asked their profession was. They told him that they were professional jesters who entertained people, who appeared to be sad or depressed, or who worked to make peace between people, who had been angry at one another. Although well known in another Jewish name, teachings that every Jewish person has a share in the world to come, the intention there is that after a person is purged of his sins, having received the punishment that is due for him. Okay, so it keeps going. But what's interesting is I found parts of this online that had nothing that didn't tell you about wearing different shoes than the Jews to have the Jews' backs, right? So like the story of the two jesters is about these two guys that wear different clothes to blend into the community to have the backs of the Jewish people, and they're, I mean, doesn't that blow your mind? Like,
Yeah.
Didn't
the two jesters in the Talmud is wild.
Trump just had that quote at the assassination attempt, let me get my shoes or whatever. He emphasizes shoes.
Yeah.
and the shoes are a symbol of duty in the Jewish tradition and the Masonic tradition. It is a Masonic symbol, the shoe, and it's to let you know that if you start something, you have to finish it, right? Shoes, and then the Shriners, the shoes are huge in their symbolism.
Well,
especially showing the bottoms of the feet.
You know what I thought was interesting with that too, and I do wonder about this now in the shoes with Trump. Jeez. But like even that, like I mean, I know sandals is kind of like off. It's not really a shoe, but I mean, I guess depending on how far back you go, that might have been a shoe, kind of. Sandals is even like a symbol for a hode, which is the orange sphere. You got the orange man. I don't know.
Orange order.
I just find that funny. Yeah.
Well, and then even that Space Force episode we did, the last one, with the cartoon that was created by the supercomputer, and we pointed out how the character had worn out shoes and everything. So, right there.
The target on the bottom of the shoes. Yeah.
Let me get my shoes.
Yep. So, you can go back to that one real quick. So, there you go. This one is really sketchy. Okay. Now this one had me rethinking what the pink donut means in The Simpsons.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Now, Mr. Burns, he's like Mr. Rothschild. Like that's the character he is. He's like the Illuminati guy in the city, right? So like all the really sketchy shit, you can kind of tie back to him. So in this episode, Homer discovers that Bart has a rare blood type that can save Mr. Burns' life. Homer convinces Bart, who was the only Springfieldian with that blood type, to give blood in hopes that Mr. Burns will give the Simpsons a cash reward. But when Mr. Burns gives him a thank you card, Homer gets a nasty letter, so they go back and forth. But the whole thing about it, you can hit the next one, is when Mr. Burns comes around, he decides to finally give him a gift. He's going to the mall and he's like, that's it. It's perfect. And this was always the weirdest thing in the show, was he gives them a giant Olmec head of the god of war.
What?
So,
Oh my god.
You know, and blood.
That's what he gives them. And in the first,
blood would go in.
And so
blood
Bart's
would go
blood,
along with all that stuff. The red sphere. It's just weird. Like all that stuff goes along with each other. War and blood. Like in red, my opinion.
Yeah,
occultism.
And so like if we're talking about one of these occult orders, right? You got to give your kids blood, and then the reward is the Olmec's head of the god of war. You know what I mean? And then you can hit the next one real quick. When you look at the Olmec head, you'll see something very strange by the ear. It's the Shriner question mark right there. Bam. and then they got the target nose. You know what I mean? Like,
Yo, doesn't that little
now this
dude
thing-
hold that shit? The Billiken guy? Isn't it with the
Yeah.
Billiken a
Yep.
lot? Oh man.
yeah, he's holding it, and his head's ripping through it, almost like a ripped something. You know what I mean? Or
I've even wondered,
maybe
like,
the
if it's
basal ganglia,
Sith
man.
or a Sith too. Yeah. Huh. Basal ganglia. Yeah. Wow.
now that question mark. The Riddler, okay, I think Batman, I think the Joker was based off the Shriners, like straight up. Okay, like the Batman series and the movies are so Illuminati, you know what I mean? Like dark secret societies, Batman like Baphomet, you know what I mean, comes out at night, becomes something different. And the Joker, right? The Joker is, I mean, when you go in and you look at the Shriners are some serious dudes. Like the fact that nobody talks about them and that people don't realize that the symbology is everywhere. They talk in code. It's called Pig Latin. Like, I bet you didn't know that came from the Shriners. Like,
Oh man.
they are occultists and they use like pop culture for symbols. They're weird, man. And their influences in, I mean, Roger Rabbit, Dumbo. You just got to take a look in pop culture and you'll see it, you know, Mad Magazine. So I think that this episode is a really good case to say maybe Matt Groening is Order of Quetzalcoatl. Like, we know he's a Mason. He's admitted that.
I would even say
But
at least like a Shriner.
What kind of Mason are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Wow.
You can hit the next one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and just real quick, that Shriner head looked like a train too. The Shriners come from way back, and they were big into trains back in the day for their circuses. I'll just mention that with that too. And so now we go with Sideshow Bob, right? So if you follow the clowns in The Simpsons, this is where it leads you. You know what I mean? The face peeler, like straight up. I mean, there's an episode where he peels his face off, and when he peels it off, Thrash showed me the image. It looks like he's holding a piece of pizza in his hand. Like, the clowns are twisted. Yeah, dude. The clowns are twisted. So you can hit the next one. That was just kind of, and that goes back to the Space Force episode, right? The face peelers. Like, so there's an episode. Sideshow Bob is, he's the sideshow of the Krusty the Clown show, right? And he used to read what? Shakespeare. What does that sound like?
Oh boy.
The Shriners, the Jesters,
Rosicrucians.
they killed Shakespeare. Yep. So he is the Shakespeare guy. He's always reading Shakespeare, right? And he's a psychopathic murderer. He's always trying to kill Bart. Like, it is so weird when you actually read the episodes. It's like, what the hell? And we all know about John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, right? So
33 flavors on his balloon.
there's a particular episode. Yep. There's a particular episode, Barefoot Wine, where they go to Italy on a vacation and they find out that the mayor of the town they're at in Italy is Sideshow Bob. And they've escaped his murder, his wrath, in all these other episodes. So they just go on vacation to Italy and they find out he's running the place, right? When they go into the story on how he gets there, it's like, it's crazy, dude. Because he has such big feet, they have him crush the grapes, right? And then they make him, they make him the mayor. And when he's going through and crushing the grapes and pulling up his bare foot with the blood drip, it looks like blood dripping off of it, right? He's a serial killer. We know about Frazzle Drip and walking through massacres and what red shoes could possibly mean, right? And so it's just like when you follow the clowns, it leads to some gnarly places in The Simpsons.
Also, the feet, like Nickelodeon logo, the feet thing.
Yes. Yes. And I'm thinking that that might be a Shriner thing, showing the bottom of the foot, the Nickelodeon thing, right?
I do also think, even, well, this is just my opinion, especially with that hair. I have thought that about him. I've thought about other people that might do their hair like that. Sometimes and now with this image, to me, that is very much of the the vitreous humor, I think. You're seeing the nerves hanging down from the top. You're seeing him bent like the hyaloid canal, and that is where you enter the blood part of the eyeball. That's what I think you're seeing right there, in my opinion.
Well, and all the Mayan manuscripts, when they're doing magic, the eye will always, it's like the Pokeball. That's another symbol that I think that was jacked from the Mesoamerican stuff. That Pokeball is the eyeball half filled with blood. Like,
yeah. I might even be showing you something about the eyes, like a change in them as well. Yeah.
Well, and sacrifice. If there's elites doing that crazy stuff like that, it's for something, right? It's for ritual. Like, it's crazy to think about, but when you watch this episode, it's so uncomfortable, and they're so not talking about crushing grapes or wine.
What's really interesting is I did say I thought this might be the eye, and then if you look at Bart on the other one, I mean, that's an emphasis on his eye.
Okay, and the reason why I grabbed that frame was when he's deciding where he's going to go,
it's like an egg with
where
a
he
little
ends up
small
in
yolk.
Italy, he's stabbing the globe with a knife, and he stabs it on this little island called Bartovia. And he says, cut that out. He looks at the camera. He says, cut that out. Like, don't pay attention to that island that's named after a little boy that I'm trying to kill.
Did you see how long this episode is? I mean, did you see how long that video is? 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
33.
Dude, it's why it is so uncomfortable. The clowns and Bart's relationship is not cool. Like, it makes you rethink The Simpsons watching it. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't think we reiterated this earlier in the episode, just for people listening, that like there is a whole theory that the Nephilim look like clowns. So just like to preface that, yeah.
No, and then like in the 16th century, like clowns really got their start in Italy, and then also Shakespeare had like the first like troupe of clowns. So there's the Shakespeare connection with clowns, and then you also have this episode's they go to Italy, which he's a clown.
Mob ties too.
Yeah.
I think they're showing you the Shriner's connection to the mob in this episode for real, because he's like the Don over there, and he does it because he can crush the most grapes because he has the biggest feet. It's like the Shriners are gangsters, man. The Shriners are gangsters, like straight up. They're not like other Masons. They're not.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting I can send it to you tomorrow, Mike, to give you an idea of what I was trying to even talk about. And not so much in the same sense, but like I am actually getting a tattoo finished tomorrow that will be depicting what I'm saying I think is going on over here on the left one, actually. So when I send it to you and you see like how it's art, but it's actually literally depicting the eyeball, you might be like, oh, wow, okay, I think, you might see what I'm talking about.
Well, he is in a circular
that.
tube. I mean, where he's in a circle. He's in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just saying you'll be like, wow, okay, with art, I could see how you could actually depict, and then I could even send you like the exact part of the eye that I'm showing you, and you'll be like, oh, fuck, I see that now. You'll definitely see it, and you'll be like, wow, and that's like art. You probably never would have noticed unless I told you. For real.
Oh yeah, no, I've been looking into it. Like a lot of my favorite DJs and stuff. I'm looking at their art. I'm like, that is totally the veins in the eyes. They're coming out of the trees and it like.
I mean, totally. Even think of that. I mean, I'm like actually even like sitting here right now, even literally admitting that I'm gonna have a piece of art on my arm that nobody would even fucking ever think that that's the inside of an eyeball. Probably nobody. That's what it is. It's pretty weird, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know? Like,
oh yeah,
you don't know where these things mean.
The whole world in there. Yeah. There's a whole world in there, man. I mean, even cameras are based off the eye. It's It's a portal.
There you
Now
go.
that's just me screenshot. Very Nickelodeon. That's why I grabbed that one because I'm like, are we looking at the Nickelodeon foot? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's
Exactly.
right. Yeah, wow,
and
that's
showing
interesting.
the bottom of the feet. All the little Shriner characters are showing the bottom of the feet, and there's the esoteric meaning is like a sign of disrespect, right?
Didn't Rugrats use feet too a lot in their?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
shit.
god.
And they're
Oh,
Jewish,
no.
right? The Rugrats are,
And the one of the main characters has the red hair too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, before I ended up hooking up with Lux, now this is like like a month before the Occult Rejects, maybe 2 months. I actually almost did cover Rugrats on my own. I was gonna cover that for like occult symbolism and other type of symbolism. That honestly, I was probably better off I didn't cover it then because I think I might have actually like screwed some of it up and being misunderstood. But there's definitely tons of occult symbolism in that show.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion.
That was my favorite when I was a kid. I loved.
I did watch
Rugrats.
that shit. Yeah, it was when I was young.
Now
I mean, for a little bit, and then eventually I was like too old.
Now, I had a theory that maybe you could use The Simpsons as like a way to find some stuff, right? And I'm like, I need to find my own prediction, or this show ain't gonna be worth shit. And so I'm like, okay, Matthew Perry, he died in a water death. He's like, I wanted to find out if and they did, kind of. Now, what's crazy is, as we're getting ready for the show, the video is gone. There was only one video and it had like 700 views. They get this house, right? And who's the millionaire who made Virgin Mobile?
Oh,
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
Oh,
So they get
okay.
a smart house.
Okay.
They get this smart house, and this is a tree house of horrors. So it's a Halloween episode. And they get this smart house, and there's voice options on it, right? And they're like, let's try Matthew Perry. And he's like, this is so not a house. And then the next voice that comes on says something about a murder and then a murder-suicide. Now, as we're getting ready for the show, I'm looking for the video, and the video's gone. But I think you could safe to say it's a Matthew Perry death prediction, because remember, his whole thing was about his house. The whole story was focused on his white house, kind of. He drowned in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
It's very odd. Very odd.
Isn't there an
Josh, do you remember the
investigation?
video?
Yeah, I remember the video. You sent it to me as soon as you found this.
Oh wow, look at that.
Oh,
And I thought that was pretty crazy that The Simpsons had predicted that, and that was not a prediction that I had heard anywhere, right?
damn.
Well,
Matthew Perry.
also Matthew Perry had a whole like connection to Batman. He called himself Batman all the time.
Yep.
And it just made me think of like the Joker, Batman and the Joker. And there's a new Joker movie coming out in October, I believe. With
yep.
like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker with the clown paint on the face and everything. So,
Batman is huge, man. I mean, and the weird thing about that is the penguin. Okay, so the penguin is another Illuminati symbol. Like, there's budding symbols that, like, all these guys are starting to use, right?
mhm.
All these celebrities. The penguin, there's more to that, and like even the Denver paintings, the penguin was put in there prominently. The penguin, it lives underground. He's a gangster that runs operations from underground, right? And I remember Matthew Perry was posting from that particular film. I don't know, the penguin's been popping up a lot. It's hard to explain, but that symbol's been popping up on some weird stuff.
Yeah, there's a movie coming out of the Penguin as well with Colin Farrell.
There you go.
I think they do put these things like in the pop culture psyche. Also, I wrote it down to bring up later, but I'll bring it up now. Quetzalcoatl, like in the pop culture, has been coming up in the last few years. I don't know if you guys remember Jurassic World Dominion. There's only like a few dinosaurs featured in the movie, and one of them is the Quetzalcoatlus, or however you say it. And I was like, really? Of all the dinosaurs, that's the one you fucking
I
pick?
remember that. remember
to put in the movie. Like I was like, and that movie is like, deeply coded with like agendas and whatnot. So I thought that was interesting. And then also, you mentioned DJs coming out with stuff. So Dead Mouse 5 or Dead Mouse, however you say it, he came out with a song, Quetzalcoatl, the same week as the Minions Despicable Me 4 came out, literally 2 days apart. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm. And Dead Mouse is straight up Illuminati Satanist stuff. Okay, like he's got videos. Oh, 100%.
I couldn't tell you
so
like much about him actually.
He's got a song
Besides,
with Rob
he does
Swire.
show how to like make beats.
Well, Rob Swire from Pendulum, he did a song with Dead Mouse, and it's like it's a weird name, like it's not a real name. The video is so packed full of symbology. Smiley face. There's dudes dying by a pool after they drop all these dogs to be sacrificed from the sky. There's these creatures dancing around this pendulum.
What?
There's like people being fished with burgers, and then they're showing this pig farm where they're pooping out all the people. Like there's a pig farm up in Canada.
Yeah, the Picton Pig Farm.
Yeah, so Dead Mouse is blatant with it.
Oh my god.
So you bring up the penguin, and there are no penguins. Well, there are no penguins in the Arctic Circle. There are only penguins in Antarctica. In Antarctica, the actual expedition, the Antarctic expedition, was done by Masons. Byrd was the guy who did the Antarctic expedition. I think it was Richard E. Byrd or something. He was an actual Mason, and I believe 3 of the 4 men that went down there were Masons.
And his last name is Byrd. What the heck?
Did you guys know that there's a Royal Order of Deep Freeze, a secret society that was created by Admiral Byrd, and you can only be in it if you go down there. And in it, it says that you pledge allegiance to the Golden Emperor and the Penguin King.
Ooh.
I shit you not.
Penguin.
It's not just some off-hinge thing, because I found like 14 of them for sale online with different ships. So like different colors, which means that these are all like this is a society that has existed through time, and Admiral Byrd started it, and that's what got me onto this penguin stuff. And there's a Quetzalcoatl bird in the Denver paintings. Remember that? And the penguin next to each other.
So do you think the penguin is a nod to the Antarctic expedition?
I think it's... I don't
It's,
know.
you know what's so
I
interesting?
just started pulling it apart, but there's something to it for sure.
They're even
And
like,
penguins are black and white.
I know. I was gonna say that. Just like the
Oh,
checkered
sorry.
floor. I'm just like, no, you're no fine. It's just like, yo, like you can't get any weirder with this.
Jeez.
And like, what color is their beaks normally?
Orange.
Or orange, yellow? Yeah.
Interesting.
And all the Masons, the Nazis, everybody's trying to find Atlantis, and everybody's trying to trace their roots back to Atlantis. So if potentially there's theories that Antarctica could be Atlantis, if pole shifts happen regularly, then it's very possible, because that would have been right in the middle of the ocean. Instead, everything would have been flipped up like this, and so it could potentially be where Atlantis was.
I went ahead and I looked it up real quick, and people in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an Antarctica Lodge number 777.
Come on.
Wow. Yeah, see, names to ant. You even get like AA out of that. Well, a few ways, but that's.
Well, and if you believe in a flat Earth model, Antarctica is a ring, not. It's a circular, like ring shape, not a landmass. Yeah, which is interesting.
And then Admiral Byrd was a part of the Merchants Lodge 709. I had done a bunch of research on him a while back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, look at that Royal Order Deep Freeze, and that certificate will blow your mind, because there's a picture of a penguin and a camel is on it, and they show Chinese looking buildings. it's the oddest thing you've ever seen. And then it shows like Poseidon. He's got his pitchfork, and there's a chick wrapped around him, and then there's a penguin right under him. So it's like, what the hell? And so I wanted to find my own prediction, right? So as the Matthew Perry thing was a hit, but somebody else had found it. So I said, okay, who else? Where's another celebrity death in a water tub? Whitney Houston. I type it in, bam, these are the images. He's singing a Whitney Houston song in that frame. You see all the blood all over their shirts and the wall. It's just,
Oh, wow.
and he's singing, I will always love you. And it's the cowboy. And they're just covered in, and it's just this weird scene, man. And I'm like, so I don't know, is that a prediction? If it is, it's an exclusive for you guys out there. But that's another water death. Okay, so a lot of this, I wanted to scry through The Simpsons and try to find some secrets, right? I'm like, okay, I want to know about these water deaths. And it wasn't hard to find stuff on it. It's really kind of bizarre to me how quick it happened too. It was almost like automatic writing, but with looking at things. And The Simpsons can be kind of spooky because anything that you want to look through it, like see into it, you'll find like Mandela effect stuff. They talk about cornucopias, the magic mirror. You know what I mean? Anything that I wanted to find or anything I'm interested in, The Simpsons has an interesting take on it. Do you know what I mean? And it's bizarre. So he's singing Whitney Houston and they're bloodied up, man.
That's crazy.
And so I figured I could wrap it with that, you know, with our own little Simpsons prediction, because nobody knows this yet. People don't realize that this is another prediction potentially that we found. So
Damn. It's wild.
yeah.
Very good, Mike. Very good.
And then the next slide is just the last one, which is just him singing it again. He's singing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. Okay, so yeah. You can go to that last one, Nick. So just in closing, okay, this is an Aztec codices depicting somebody wearing the skins of sacrifice for Quetzalcoatl. And that is scarier than hell. When I saw this image, I was like, I mean, that looks, you got the smiley face sun above it. He's got the smiley face. Like, it's just scarier than hell. Like, and that's what you do to honor Quetzalcoatl in certain traditions, is you kill somebody, you sacrifice them in the river to the rain god, and then you wear the skins of sacrifice. So
It's like some Leatherface type shit.
Leatherface, exactly.
Yeah.
Necro pants, like Thrasher showed me. There's necro pants where you wear magical powered pants out of someone's flesh. Like, it's crazy.
The Vikings would wear necro pants.
What? Wow.
It's wild. Now, okay, we got 9 Inch Nails. That video where the guy's wearing the leather mask and then he's the one that gets killed. Like, I'm like, are we on to something? Are they using this is magic? This is Latin American. Because the codices are pretty detailed. And if there were books that didn't get destroyed, which the occultist founding fathers and shit stashed away, then these inner order secret groups would be messing around with it. You know what I mean? And I know some DJs that wear smiley face hat heads, and they just happen to be Spanish DJs, the Yellowheads. And all of their songs are about astrology and prison planet, and they're totally showing that smiley face stuff and imagery, and their masks look exactly like that. So
Also,
It's just pretty wild.
Also reminds me of Jason for some reason.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like like people talking about Biden wearing a bodysuit or something like that.
Shit, I know what you mean. Yeah, right.
But instead of human skin, it's just prosthetic whatever now.
Biden totally wears necro pants for sure.
This is like Silence of the Lambs type crap, right?
Yeah, Silence of the Lamb. Yes.
Yeah.
And Nimrod wore the skins of Adam, which made him, you know what I mean? And these dark masons, man, these black magic people love Nimrod, and it's the Masonic thing to do, to grab things from other cultures, to continue the symbols, and to continue these traditions. Like the regular Shriners are kind of Eastern, right? Everything's Constantinople, right?
Mm.
And then you got Quetzalcoatl, which I think
Quetzalcoatl's big into the Constantinople shit too.
Yeah. And so are they taking in these black magic stuff because it's detailed? I mean, it's detailed. These codices are a trip.
You know what's really interesting, Mike? Just real quick, I just want to insert this. I remember, a while ago when me and Lux covered the Order of Quetzalcoatl, there was like people that we started following that had like accounts on YouTube that like you were seeing that were definitely like connected with people who were into that stuff. They were even like, talking about it kind of. But like there was a bunch of them that were all like redoing like this version of some song that was like talking about going back to like Constantinople.
Yeah, it's weird.
Really weird. Me and Lex were like, yo, there's gotta be something up with that. Why are they all like getting in front of the camera and like singing that song and then just like that's it? They're just like, putting that out. It was like weird.
Yeah, they're weird, man. And I think
they were into a lot of them were into Godzilla.
Oh, yeah,
I was like,
weird.
what?
What the heck?
Yeah, some of them were like into drawing and shit. Yeah, they're really big into Godzilla too.
It comes from the sea, comes from the abyss. Quetzalcoatl also plays into the what's the chicken snake god?
Oh, Abraxas?
Abraxas, yes. So Nimrod, Abraxas, you know what I mean? These sea creatures, these sea monsters, like, you look at even maybe the horse in front of DIA, the very seahorse look. I mean, these elite families think they came from the sea, some of them. Like, it's weird, man.
So
that was the last one, right?
I was going to insert
Sorry.
two things. Oh, no, it's okay. So the headdress on the person that's wearing the skin looks to me, it reminds me of the white head that the colonial.
Like a judge's wig,
I thought
right?
that. I
Judge's
honestly
wig,
thought
right?
that.
Yeah, the powder wigs, yeah.
The other thing was that the 4 discs that are on the staff all have 8 lines, which indicates like 8 petals. And again, going back to when we talked about this, the 8-petaled flower is the Venus flower, and it is the symbol for the morning star, or Venus, the planet, and it would be the first star that they would see in the sky, right? The morning star. It is also considered the symbol of Quetzalcoatl, and that the legend was that before he left, that he would come back, and he would come back from the Orient, which is the east, which was the where the sun rises. Yeah. Which again, with the sun rising. Sun.
Yep, the shining, Apollo, all the, you know what I mean? It's shrine of the sun. I mean, so that was everything on that.
Oh yeah, that was really interesting stuff.
Really great.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. Like, I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised that they were that blatant about like the secret society. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's probably. I bet you there's probably a lot more stuff like that. And
It's
other stuff we
endless.
just never noticed.
It's endless with the Simpsons too. Like I found a place where I could present it and kind of connect it to some of the old stuff, but man, it's a treasure trove. Like I said, there's gifted and talented. There's like every conspiracy that you think of that you're studying, type it in. The Simpsons got an episode for it. It's a trip.
That's crazy. I got to rewatch The Simpsons now.
Yo,
Holy shit.
Yeah, for real. I even still think that that original image is mind blowing.
Real quick too, just the predictions. They predicted smart watches. They predicted smartphones. A lot of it is technology that they're predicting, which they could obviously just be showing you that before they push it out. Trump being elected was predicted. That's a big one. Potentially the assassination. There's an assassination attempt on Liza, who gets the presidency after Biden or after Trump.
Yeah. Yes.
And when she's leaving the stage, they take a shot and the shot goes right by, and it's set up and they're on the roof. So the predictions are wild. I think the Trump predictions are pretty significant. You know what I mean? Because nobody could imagine Trump being president when it came out. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that all that stuff was predicted. Are there any more important predictions?
There's one where Lisa becomes a president while Bart, who was the previous president, is living in the White House, and she's wearing purple with pearls. And when they show Kamala here recently, she was wearing a purple suit.
I think she also wore purple at the inauguration, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they also predicted the God particle being discovered.
Yes. And the boson particle, and it was the actual written out equation correct. I think that's probably the biggest mind-blowing prediction, is somehow they had the God particle right.
And it was in the 90s. It was in the late 90s.
What?
And the Higgs boson particle was not discovered until 2012.
Yeah.
Yo, that's bugged out.
Wow.
They predicted Lady Gaga's halftime show, which she probably just did that. The three-eyed fish from pollution, Germany winning the World Cup, faulty voting machines, the Ebola outbreak they predicted. They predicted this London Tower being built, and that's all I have written down for the predictions. But
yeah, there's in an episode that's supposed to predict 9/11 and shows like a plane going into towers, but it's something being sold for $9 or something like that.
Yeah, 11 cents or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, man. That was awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, no problem.
There was definitely some weird stuff there, especially with the significant. I think there's definitely again, that first image I think is pretty compelling. That's just my opinion. No, I really do. Not even just saying that because you're on the show. Again, I even think some of that art that we're looking at does very much remind me a lot of the older Simpsons, for sure.
Yep. Especially the mounds artifacts. I could have showed a ton of them, but you know what I mean? They're so similar that I just threw the 3 in there, but they all look like Homer with that weird,
there was a lot of that face on there.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
And that's the America's plumed serpent. So that's still Quetzalcoatl, just a different version. So.
All right.
Actually, could I point out a channel real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So, Carl Crusher, there's a channel associated with him called Re-Indigenizing Minds. And there's actually a lot of cool videos on there. There's stuff where the Roger guy, he's actually interviewing all kinds of different tribes and connecting Quetzalcoatl to other tribes. He's Tillamook, and there's a lot of cool videos on there, but it ties into Quetzalcoatl and all kinds of other stuff too. It's Re-Indigenizing Minds, and there's only 300 subscribers, but it's really good.
I'll definitely. If you send me the link, I'll add it into the show notes. So.
Yeah, I'll send it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I guess we'll wrap it up if that's all right with everybody here. Mike, thank you very much again. I thank you all for jumping on. I mean, there was a bunch of us here. That's what's up. I thank you all for your input as well. Again, we'll go around and let everybody just plug their stuff. Lisa, real quick, the Occult Reject Mad Scientist. Just let everybody know where they can reach you.
Yeah, sure. Twitter, Solis Lisa. Instagram, Lisa Solis.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Teresa.
Yeah, so Spiritual Gangsters podcast, Midnight Mysteries Radio, and on Twitter X at TS Gangsters Pod.
Awesome. And Thresh. Narmarsh Thresh. There you go. Check them out.
Thank you.
Mike, do you want to plug Mike, do you want to plug any you want to plug like any shows that you've been on already again?
Yeah, check me out, Subconscious Realms. You know, I'll always be there. We got you know, you want to hear my story, my origins, all that stuff. I got a link tree now. So
okay.
Magic with 2 Ks, Mike with 2 Ks and 2 Es at Linktree. And I just keep my podcast on there. So if you want to see all of them, Threshold Saints, Jin the Ninja coming soon. We got a podcast coming out, and then the William of Orange podcast will be coming out on Subconscious Realm soon.
Oh, nice, right?
So,
Nice.
and you can catch me on End of Days Radio too. I was there. So
Awesome. Great stuff. All great shows too. Real good guys right there.
yeah, those are cool.
Yes. All right. Well, I thank you all again, and hopefully, in in the future, we'll be touching on another topic and something that we're all kind of like, I think, interested in and well versed in. So that might be like really fun, and I look forward to that. And I guess that's it. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.